Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's AJ and this is Find Creativity. I got a pretty cool video for you today, a little bit different. I decided to make a movie prop because I'm going to be painting a series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sculptures on my channel. Stick with me because the next video is coming really soon. I decided to make this movie prop a TGRI canister, and I'm going to show you how I made it. Full disclosure, this is not my idea. I started painting some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sculptures for a series that I'm going to put on the channel, and the YouTube algorithm sent me a video of a guy making one of these, and so I watched a couple of them. I'll link it in the description below, but basically somebody created a 3D model of these end caps, and I 3D printed it on my resin printer. Went over to the internet, thanks to Bad Wolf Props for designing this. It is designed for a Voss water bottle, but I couldn't find any locally, so I ended up going online and buying this 12-inch clear plastic acrylic tube that was of the dimensions that I liked. Just made sure that they fit inside of the slicer that I used. Once it was done printing, I went out and sanded everything to make it nice and smooth. Hit it with my favorite primer, a Krylon Color Max black primer. My state-of-the-art priming station, a 5-gallon bucket with a piece of cardboard on top. These end caps we also primed in black. Once that was all dry, we went out with the Citadel Leadbelcher metallic paint and gave this a nice coat. Looks nice and shiny when it's done. Once everything was dry, checked it out, looks pretty good, happy with the results. So we have our two end caps, we have the acrylic tube that fits perfectly in there, and then we have the two smaller end caps that are going to be adhered to the end of the tube. We're going to use clear weld from JB Weld around the perimeter of the cap. That's going to seal this end of the tube. Want to make sure we put a decent amount in because we definitely do not want this thing to leak when it's done. It was one of the tips I found from watching some of the other YouTube videos of putting one of these together was leaking, and I wanted to avoid that. Place the end of the acrylic tube on top of the cap and make sure it fits nice and snug. And then I went around the edge of the cap as well to make sure that there was a nice bead of epoxy around the perimeter. I put a little water inside and made sure that there was no leak, and it was successful. Worked perfect. Thumbs up. We got Great Value Ultra Dish Liquid. I looked at a bunch of different stuff that I wanted to put inside of this, but this is a really green soap, and it looks very toxic. It smells awesome, so we're going to fill it up about 2/3 full, leaving some room for some corn syrup. I have some green and yellow food coloring that we're going to use as well. Let's crack on with this and get that tube full. All right, corn syrup time. This is just to add some viscosity to the dish liquid, and it works really good. It is a lot more dense than the liquid, so I found that after this was all completed, you'd have to kind of occasionally turn the canister so that everything would kind of mix together. Once you get it mixed, it looks great. Add a little bit more corn syrup in here. So now we got our green food coloring, and you do not need a lot of this. 2 drops is all we need. Plippity plop. That's it. Stir it up, make it look nice and green. And same thing, only 2 drops of the yellow food coloring. Kind of just gives it a little bit of a different color, and I liked it. My entire room smelled like apples after this, and I did not complain. A little bit more. I did leave a little bit of room in the canister so that you could allow for some of the fluid to move around. We're going to put a little bit more epoxy on the other end cap. And we wanted to face the metallic side inward just in case you could see the reflective metallic paint. I don't think it really mattered afterwards. Couldn't really see it anyway. Again, we'll go around the outside, making sure that the bond is really good. And just to make sure I had no leaks, we let this sit for the appropriate amount of time, and once the epoxy was set, I put a paper towel underneath the acrylic tube, and we waited.
A few moments later.
No leaks, we're good. The JB weld was excellent. So let's put these end caps on now and see how it looks. I printed off a kind of a placeholder. I used a little blue tack to put the lettering on just to kind of see how it looks, the spacing of everything, etc. I think it looks nice. Busted out a little tape measure so that I could have it spaced out appropriately. I used a little dry erase marker to make some marks on the acrylic tube. Roll of painter's tape, and I just taped it all up. I kind of eyeballed this, but I made sure that there was about a 1/4 inch above the marks that I made across the entire tube. I probably didn't need to tape the entire tube, but I was paranoid that I was going to get some of the metallic paint overspray, and I didn't want to risk anything, so I taped up the entire thing. So it was right around Halloween. I went outside. My kid was going as Ghostface, so he was outside playing with his Halloween outfit, being a creep in the background. But we got outside, sprayed this really quick, and I wanted to remove the tape as soon as possible so that it didn't risk peeling any of the lead belcher paint. Got the epoxy back out and just kind of globbed on a bunch on the inside of each of the end caps. Pushed it on nice and firm, made sure I had the openings of the end cap where I wanted it to be. And repeated the same thing on the other side. Went into Photoshop and made sure that everything was spaced and lined up with the measurements that I took earlier. And once I was satisfied, we printed it off on a clear sticker project paper from Avery on the printer. Ended up cutting everything up the way I wanted to, peeled that sticker off, lined it up as best I could with the marks that I had made, and made sure there was no air bubbles in the sticker. I'm going to take a little bit of a Vallejo Game Color Silver, and this is just going to be sort of dry brush scratched on with a crappy brush, just to give the silver a little bit of wear and life, as if it had been handled. So we just go all around the entirety of the metal areas of the canister and give it a little scratch here and there. I took a little knife here and just made a bunch of scratches, and the goal was to go through the metal paint that we had down to like the black undercoated primer, and this just makes it look like it was, you know, worn and beat up a little bit too, and I liked that. and a satin varnish at the end to not only protect the paint, but also take a little bit of the sheen away from the glossy sticker that I used. Kind of helped tie in all the pieces together. This was a super fun project to put together. It didn't take too long, just a little bit of planning and preparation. If I can make one, you can make one. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of my favorite things growing up in the late 80s. It was so cool. And when the movies came out, they were some of my favorites to watch. And I can't wait to paint some of those models. And here it is. If you made it to the end of the video and you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up and subscribe. We're going to keep doing stuff like this, painting, singing, and well, just finding creativity. And we'll catch you in the next video. See ya.